Could the Philippines submission for an extended exclusive economic zone kill the code of conduct in South China Sea? Curious? Watch till the end to find out why South China Sea and Southeast Asia could be looking at a very dangerous future. Under the United Nations Conventions on the Law of the Sea, or UNCLOS, countries can request the United Nations to extend their EEZ up to 350 nautical miles off the. And this is what the Philippines has done. But it has used the coast of Sabah to make its claims to extend the EEZ. And this is where the trouble begins. To understand what led Philippines to this stage, we need to go back and understand the history of conflicts that Philippines had in the South China Sea. The most recent conflicts between Philippines and China took place in a region known as the Second Thomas Shoal. So we shall begin there. The Second Thomas Shoal, or locally known as the Ayungin Shoal, is a submerged reef in the Spratleys Islands in the South China Sea. And the South China Sea is also referred to as the West Philippine Sea in official Philippines communication. The Second Thomas Shoal is located about 200 kilometers off the coast of the Palawan Islands in the south. The Second Thomas Shoal is claimed by the Philippines. In 1999, the Philippines Navy deliberately grounded an old ship known as the Sierra Madre over there to be made use as a makeshift military base. Since then, it has stationed soldiers on it who were resupplied on a monthly basis. For years, things were relatively stable. But in 2012, an incident occurred further north in another region that is claimed by the Philippines, known as the Scarborough Shoals. The Philippines Navy tried to chase off some fishermen from China who were intruding into the area. In retaliation, the Chinese moved in, occupied the Scarborough Shoals, and started to build fortifications on it. I've mentioned this in an earlier video. The link is put up there. You may want to watch it. Frustrated by China's actions, the Philippines brought a case to the International Court of Arbitration in 2013. And in 2016, the court declared that the 9-dash map were invalid. And this enraged the Chinese even more. But the Duterte administration sought to cool down tempers by taking a more conciliatory approach. But the whole dynamics changed when the new administration took over. The Marcos administration took a much more hardline stance, and reacting to the change in tone in Manila, Chinese Coast Guard vessels started harassing the resupply missions to Sierra Madre. Several incidents occurred. The Chinese vessels rammed into the Philippines vessel, obstructed the supply missions, and in some cases took away the food and water and dumped them into the sea. It is amidst these high-profile incidents that the Philippines decided to submit its claim for the extended EEZ claim on 14th of June this year. And you guessed it, it made the Chinese more aggressive. And just 3 days later, on the 17th of June, a very serious incident occurred in the Second Thomas Shoal, where the Chinese Coast Guard vessels rammed into the Philippines boats. There was altercation, and war was averted at the last minute. What are the implications of the Philippines' claims? The implications are serious because it uses the coastline of the state of Sabah to make its claims. In fact, this is a Philippine revival of its claim over the state of Sabah. Naturally, it did not go down well with Malaysia at all. In fact, in its reply to the note verbal in the United Nations, the Malaysian embassy or permanent mission to the United Nations categorically rejected the Philippines submission on the basis that the projections were based on the coastline of Sabah. And in this respect, the Philippines submission disregards Malaysia's sovereignty over the state of Sabah. The Philippines submission also created fresh problems. Not only that it now included Sabah and the waters off the coast of Sabah, it also included other areas that were claimed by Vietnam and some areas that were jointly claimed by Vietnam and Malaysia. In its submission, the Philippines said that it was ready to talk with Malaysia and Vietnam, but it did not include China. And China immediately rejected the Philippine submission, saying that it was a serious infringement of its sovereignty. But Vietnam said that it was prepared to discuss with the Philippines. So, when you look at the submission and its timing, it looks curious. Philippines is having a serious clash with China. And just when you think you would need the support of your allies, the other ASEAN claimant states, Philippines is alienating them with now its claims over its extended EEZ and creating irritances in bilateral relations. So what exactly is Philippines trying to do? It appears to be a strategy to push Malaysia and Vietnam into negotiating separate codes of conduct. This would be in line with the proposal made by President Marcos for the ASEAN claimant states to craft out their own separate codes of conduct before they negotiate with China. He believes that separate code of conduct among the ASEAN claimant states could unify the ASEAN stance against China. But this is a very risky strategy. By reigniting the Sabah claim, the Philippines may erode trust and confidence among ASEAN members. Instead of fostering a united ASEAN, it could encourage the claimant states to go their separate ways and make their deals with China. In effect, what would happen is an abandonment of the code of conduct. And if that were to happen, it would certainly be interpreted by the international community as a failure by ASEAN, a significant failure. Ultimately, only the Philippines can fully explain its motivations for this complex move. But from what we can see, it appears to be a risky strategy with significant and profound implications for regional stability, and not to mention for the code of conduct. If you like this video, please hit a like, share and subscribe button. And thank you very much.